Hi, how you doing? And welcome back to the video on the channel. Here we preview Group E of the World Cup, part of our Fantasy League mini series that we've got going on. And just a quick thank you for all the support and positivity on the latest videos. It is greatly appreciated. So if you are new to the channel, please like and subscribe. It is fantastic, just the amount of support we're getting for such a small channel. And let's get into it. So we start with our league table for Group E, and it's a pretty tricky one, really, as we get it and the fixtures up here. Obviously, Germany and Spain are heavily favoured on paper, but I wouldn't be surprised to see Costa Rica or Japan even make a bit of a shock result, especially against, the likes of Germany, who are maybe a little bit disjointed at the moment. And we will have a little look at each team in a second. So we start with Costa Rica, and they did okay in the World Cup qualifying group. They actually got 6 wins out of their last 7 matches uh, to actually get fourth place. So they are on a bit of a run of form as well, and they beat New Zealand in the playoffs. Although they are in a pretty tough group, like we've said. They do have a mixture of older legends like Brian Rees and Joel Campbell, but they have got some up and coming young players as well, which do provide the energy into their attacking formation. So they do tend to play with a 4-2-3-1, and the manager knows his starting 11. They're pretty solid and consistent, and they have a strong togetherness. The whole country's kind of behind Costa Rica. They made a really good run a couple of World Cups ago in 2014, and they'll be hoping that they can do the same again by upsetting some of the bigger teams. So we've got some potential players here, and we start with Joel Campbell at 6 million. So he is a forward, and he is, pretty good overall. He has a history of delivering for Costa Rica despite not making the same impact at European club football. He was at Arsenal at one stage, but he has scored in the World Cup in 2014, and he did net the winner against New Zealand in that playoff win. Next up, we've got Jewison Bernadette, 4.5 million, and he's an 18-year-old winger who could really burst onto the scene at the World Cup. He's currently, contracted to Sunderland, but he does take people on and delivers balls into the box. Finally, we've got Keylor Navas, 5 million goalkeeper. And, if you're of the opinion that Costa Rica will struggle in this group, then Keylor Navas is maybe for you. The athletic stopper will surely have lots to do against the 3 attacking teams in the group. Moving on to Japan, and we've got their qualifying group there, just finished second behind Saudi Arabia. And they, like Costa Rica, they do have a tough group, and they've got good defensive statistics, but poor attacking statistics. So they only conceded 4 goals in 10 games in qualifying, but they did also only manage to score 12 themselves. They do play 4-5-1 possession based approach, although how much of the ball they'll get against Spain and Germany remains to be seen. And the two wide players do tend to sit in a little bit as well. And it's the number 10 that tends to push forward, which doesn't lend itself to chance creation. They kind of have relied on individual brilliance of players dribbling through, two, three, four players and then finishing a chance rather than team build up. So, whilst we're talking about having strong defence, we do actually have some attackers here. And the reason we've got that is because, although the defence has been quite good, Spain and Germany are going to provide a much different test, and you're probably more likely to score against them than you are to keep a clean sheet. So we start with Daichi Kamada. He is a 5.5 million midfielder, and he's won the Europa League with Frankfurt. Has great composure and vision, and holds the key to unlocking defences. He will be the person that's threading through balls through to the Japan strikers and creating chances. We've next up we've got Takefusi Kubo, 5.5 million attacker there, and he is a former Barcelona youth player and Real Madrid winger. Although he never actually made a full appearance for Real Madrid, he has gone on loan a lot to other Spanish clubs and made an impact. He's 21 years old, and he did play well in last year's Olympics, and will be an exciting player down the flanks to watch and keep an eye on. Finally, we've got Mitoma here. Believe he plays for Brighton. Tricky forward player. His dribbling's a highlight. He scored a great goal against the USA, and he's also scored against Australia recently. He has got that pedigree to score against teams that are in the World Cup. Next, we've got Spain, and they have had a pretty solid qualifying group there, managing to edge Sweden, and did pretty well in the Nations League as well. Only losing 1 game out of 6 there, although you might say that they struggled to find the back of the net. Um, The potentially underrated team here is Spain. No one's really saying the favourites. You've kind of got your France, your Argentina, your Brazil um, teams there. But Spain are a pretty young team, and the manager does have experience. Luis Enrique played in 3 World Cups as a player, so he has got that sort of experience of going away with the national team, albeit as a player. And, you know, the difference between Spain of now and the past is there's no real star players. They've either got some sort of experienced veterans or some really good potential young players. And that might cost them a little bit as to whether the young players in their team maybe don't quite have the experience they need to make a really deep run. I'm sure they'll get out of the group, but in terms of getting to the semi-finals or beyond, I'm not too sure about that for Spain. But they are adventurous in attack, although they do maybe lack that kind of cutting edge in front of goal. So the potential players, we start with Unai Simon in goal, and he's shown he can save penalties against Switzerland at Euro 2020. He's Spain's undisputed first choice, and at 5.5 million, if you think that Japan and Costa Rica might struggle to score goals, maybe he is a good shout if you're sort of splitting um, between goalkeepers, one early on in the group stage and one later on in the group stage. He might be a good shout for you. Next, we've got Pedri coming in at 8.5 million, which might be on a little bit more of the expensive side, but he is super hyped up. He plays as the number 10 for Spain, further forward than he does for Barcelona, and he is very confident. He's a potential sort of young player of the tournament uh, candidate, really, and he does create quite a lot of chances. Next up, we've got Ferran Torres, cheaper there as a forward at 7 million, and a weak point for Spain up front. Could see, the winger playing more centrally, and he was his country's top goal scorer in qualifying with 4 goals. So if you are planning on targeting someone in the Spain attack and looking for a value option, he could be your guy. Finally, we've got Germany, and they're on a little bit of whilst they've got a good qualifying record there, the Nations League was kind of a different story, and they've actually only, won one in their last 6 games. I believe that was a 1-0 victory over Oman. And there's question marks over their togetherness and their ability to work together. And whilst that's been a theme in the past of Germany, they've been able to pull it out of the bag in previous tournaments and kind of put that to the side and make the most of it and go on those deep runs. But could there be an upset? I think if there is going to be either Spain or Germany missing out in this group, it could possibly be Germany. So they do have a possession-based style. You'll know a lot of their players from European competitions, and they are quite flexible with positions and formations within games. They will adapt. But the fact that they are going to try and push forward and attack could leave them vulnerable to counter-attacks against the pace, that maybe Japan and Costa Rica do possess up front. So we've got some potential players, and we start with Manuel Neuer. He is the captain and leader, and he knows what it takes to win the World Cup. And I wouldn't be surprised if he picks up an assist or two throughout the competition as well. We all know that he can sort of come out as a sweeper keeper and play the ball with his feet. 6 million is expensive for a goalkeeper, but if you think Germany are going to keep a clean sheet or two, then he could be in line for some more returns through save points or assists as well. Next, we've got Thomas Muller, previous Golden Boot winner in 2010, I believe, and he is 9.5 million of your transfer budget. He got 8 goals and 21 assists in 32 Bundesliga matches last year, and in only 4 World Cup qualifiers, he has got 3 goals and 3 assists altogether. So he is an attacking threat, and he is quite likely to start for Germany. He's 33 years old, and this could possibly be his last World Cup. And he is someone that has proven on a World Cup stage that he can deliver for Germany. And finally, we've got Jamal Musiala. He's played under the German manager, Flick, at Bayern Munich. So the two do know each other. So whilst he is only 19 years old, he has got a lot of experience with around 100 appearances for Bayern. So there is a chance he could start as well. He's up there with Pedri for young potential for young player of the tournament. So whether you want to spend 8 million of your budget on an unproven player remains to be seen. If you can afford someone like Thomas Muller at 1.5 million more, maybe you would go for him and just more of that certainty. But yeah, let me know what you think. Thank you very much for listening. Subscribe if you're new, like the video, all the support, greatly appreciated. And I will see you in the next one.